What if I told you that the greatest football player of the modern era could be heading toward the most painful ending imaginable? Cristiano Ronaldo has conquered almost everything football had to offer. League titles, Champions Leagues, Ballon d'Or awards, international trophies, goal-scoring records, and moments that will live forever in football history. For nearly 2 decades, he has done the impossible again and again and again. Every time people said he was finished, he came back stronger. Every time critics doubted him, he answered with goals. Every time football moved on to the next superstar, Ronaldo somehow found a way to remain part of the conversation. But FIFA 2026 feels different. This time the challenge is not another defender. It is not another rival. It is not even another team. This time, Ronaldo is fighting something that no footballer has ever defeated. When the 2026 World Cup begins, Ronaldo will be 41 years old. Just think about that for a second. 41. Most football legends are long retired by that age. Many have already become managers, pundits, or disappeared from the spotlight completely. Yet somehow, Cristiano Ronaldo is still chasing the biggest prize in football. The FIFA World Cup. The one trophy that has always remained just out of reach. And that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because despite everything Ronaldo has achieved, despite all the records and all the glory, there is still one dream left unfinished. For many fans, FIFA 2026 feels like the final chapter. The last dance. The final opportunity for Ronaldo to complete football. But here's the brutal truth that many people don't want to hear. Football is not a movie. It doesn't always give legends the ending they deserve. It doesn't care about emotions. It doesn't care about reputation. And it certainly doesn't care about fairy tales. History is filled with football icons who believed one last World Cup would end in glory. Instead, it ended in heartbreak. Some left too early. Some stayed too long. And some discovered that age eventually catches everyone, no matter how great they are. The question now is simple. Can Cristiano Ronaldo really compete against the best players in the world at 41 years old? Can he still perform when the pressure reaches its highest level? Can Portugal build a team capable of carrying him to football's greatest prize? Or are fans preparing themselves for a dream that may never come true? Because when you look beyond the emotions, beyond the highlights, and beyond the legendary status, there are some uncomfortable realities surrounding Ronaldo's final World Cup. Realities that most people ignore. And those realities could decide everything. Now, before anyone misunderstands this video, let's make one thing clear. This is not about disrespecting Cristiano Ronaldo. You don't score hundreds of goals, dominate football for nearly 20 years, and inspire millions around the world without becoming one of the greatest athletes in sports history. That debate is already over. Ronaldo's legacy is secure. Nothing that happens in 2026 can erase what he has accomplished. But the World Cup is not about the past. It's about the present. And sometimes, the truth about the present can be difficult to accept. Especially when we're talking about one of football's biggest legends. Because while millions of fans are dreaming about a perfect ending, football has a habit of being brutally honest. And the truth about Ronaldo's final World Cup journey may be far more complicated than anyone wants to admit. Now, despite all the doubts surrounding Ronaldo, there is one reason why writing him off completely would be a huge mistake. Cristiano Ronaldo has spent his entire career proving people wrong. When he left Sporting Lisbon as a teenager, many believed he was just another talented youngster. He proved them wrong. When he moved to Real Madrid for a record-breaking fee, critics said the pressure would be too much. He proved them wrong. When people claimed his career would decline after turning 30, he continued scoring goals at a ridiculous rate. Again, he proved them wrong. That is why millions of football fans still believe he can do something special at FIFA 2026. Because if there is one player who has earned the benefit of the doubt, it is Cristiano Ronaldo. But belief alone does not win World Cups. Reality does. And the reality is that football becomes much harder as players get older. Speed slows down. Recovery takes longer. Injuries become more dangerous. And every small weakness becomes easier for opponents to expose. At 25, a player can recover from a tough match within days. At 41, the process is completely different. The body simply does not respond the same way. This is not criticism. It is biology. No athlete in history has escaped it. Not in football. Not in basketball. Not in tennis. Not in any sport. The greatest challenge facing Ronaldo is not talent. It is sustainability. Can he maintain elite performances across an entire World Cup tournament? Remember, winning the World Cup is not about one great match. It is about surviving multiple high-pressure games against the best teams on the planet. Every mistake becomes costly. Every weakness becomes visible. And every physical limitation gets tested. That is where things become interesting. Because Portugal is no longer the same team it was 10 years ago. For the first time in Ronaldo's international career, Portugal may actually have enough talent to compete with anyone. Look across the squad. Creative midfielders. Technical attackers. Fast wingers. Experienced defenders. Young stars entering their prime. On paper, Portugal has one of the strongest squads in world football. In fact, some fans believe this could be Portugal's most complete generation ever. And that's where a difficult question begins to emerge. Does Portugal need Ronaldo as much as they once did? A few years ago, that question would have sounded ridiculous. Ronaldo was Portugal. Everything revolved around him. The tactics, the attacks, the expectations. But football evolves. New players emerge. New leaders develop. And eventually every national team faces the same challenge. Balancing respect for a legend with the needs of the future. This is where emotions can become dangerous. Because football fans often confuse greatness with current ability. They are not always the same thing. A player can be one of the greatest of all time and still not be the best option in every situation. That is simply the reality of elite sport. The biggest fear for Portugal is not that Ronaldo performs badly. The biggest fear is that the team becomes too dependent on a player who is no longer physically capable of carrying the burden alone. And that pressure could become enormous during FIFA 2026. Every touch will be analyzed. Every missed chance will be discussed. Every decision made by the coach will create debate. Should Ronaldo start every match? Should he play the full 90 minutes? Should Portugal build the attack around him? These questions will follow the team throughout the tournament. And unlike previous World Cups, there are no easy answers anymore. Because while Ronaldo still possesses incredible finishing ability, leadership and experience, football at the highest level demands much more than reputation. It demands intensity, movement, energy, and relentless physical output. The scary part for Portugal's rivals is that Ronaldo still has the ability to change a game with a single moment. One header, one free kick, one finish inside the penalty area. That is why counting him out completely would be foolish. Legends have a habit of producing magic when nobody expects it. But the scary part for Portugal's fans is something else. The margin for error is becoming smaller. Much smaller. And in a World Cup, small margins often decide everything. One missed opportunity. One difficult night. One moment where age catches up at the worst possible time. That is all it takes for a dream to disappear. And unfortunately for Ronaldo, the next challenge may be the biggest obstacle standing between him and football immortality. So, what is the biggest problem nobody wants to admit about Cristiano Ronaldo heading into FIFA 2026? It is not his finishing ability. It is not his experience. It is not even his leadership. The biggest problem is something much simpler. The game itself has changed. Modern football is faster than ever before. Teams press higher. Midfielders run harder. Defenders recover quicker. And managers demand constant movement from every player on the pitch. Just look at the teams expected to challenge for FIFA 2026. France, Spain, England, Argentina. These teams are filled with players in their physical prime. Players who can sprint, press, recover, and repeat that process for 90 minutes. That is the standard at the highest level today. And this is where Portugal faces a difficult challenge. Because if Ronaldo starts every match, the team may have to adjust its entire system around him. Some fans see that as a strength. Others see it as a risk. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Ronaldo remains one of the most dangerous finishers in football. Give him one chance inside the box and he can still punish almost any defense in the world. That instinct has never disappeared. But football matches are often decided by what happens before the chance is created. The pressing, the movement, the transitions, the defensive work. Those areas become harder with age. Much harder. And if Portugal reaches the knockout stages, every opponent will know exactly where to attack. They will increase the tempo. They will force Portugal to defend deeper. They will try to make the game as physically demanding as possible. Because that is how modern football works. Opponents don't attack your strengths. They target your weaknesses. Now imagine Portugal facing a team like France in a World Cup knockout match. The speed, the intensity, the pressure. For 90 minutes, maybe even 120. Can Ronaldo still dominate under those conditions? Maybe. But that is no longer a question with an obvious answer. And that uncertainty is what makes FIFA 2026 so fascinating. For the first time in his career, Ronaldo is entering a major tournament with more questions than guarantees. Yet there is another side to this story. A side that Ronaldo fans will absolutely love. Because despite all the concerns, there is one thing statistics cannot measure: belief. Few athletes in history possess Ronaldo's mentality. When other players feel pressure, Ronaldo often embraces it. When the spotlight grows brighter, he somehow becomes more focused. That mentality has carried him through countless difficult moments. It helped him win trophies, break records, and achieve things many thought were impossible. If Portugal makes a deep run at FIFA 2026, that mentality could become priceless. Young players often need a leader. Someone who has experienced everything. Someone who understands how to handle the biggest stages. And there is no shortage of experience when Cristiano Ronaldo walks into a dressing room. That leadership could be one of Portugal's greatest weapons. But leadership alone cannot win the World Cup. At some point, performances must match the reputation. Goals must be scored. Chances must be taken. Results must be delivered. And that brings us to the brutal truth. Portugal may have one of the strongest squads in the tournament. They may have enough talent to challenge anyone. They may even have a realistic chance of lifting the trophy. But whether Ronaldo becomes the hero of that story, or simply a part of it, remains the biggest question of all. Because football history is filled with legends who dreamed of the perfect ending. Very few actually got it. And as FIFA 2026 approaches, Cristiano Ronaldo is about to discover which side of history he belongs to. So, will Cristiano Ronaldo finally win the World Cup in 2026? The honest answer is, nobody knows. And that's exactly what makes this story so powerful. On one side, you have one of the greatest footballers who has ever lived. A player who refused to accept limits. A player who turned doubt into motivation. A player who spent nearly 20 years proving that hard work can sometimes overcome almost anything. On the other side, you have reality. A reality that every athlete must eventually face. No matter how talented they are. No matter how many records they break. No matter how many trophies they win. Time always remains undefeated. And that is the battle Ronaldo is fighting now. Not against defenders. Not against rival nations. But against time itself. The truth is, Ronaldo does not need FIFA 2026 to prove his greatness. That debate ended years ago. Whether you support him or not, his place among football's all-time legends is already secure. His records will be remembered. His goals will be remembered. His impact on the game will be remembered. Nothing that happens in one tournament can change that. But for Ronaldo, this World Cup is not about legacy. It's about unfinished business. It's about the one dream that has always remained just beyond his reach. The dream of lifting football's most prestigious trophy. And maybe that's why so many fans around the world are emotionally invested in this journey. Because they understand what it represents. Not just a football tournament, but the final chapter of an incredible story. A story filled with sacrifice, pressure, success, failure, and relentless determination. The scary thing is that football rarely follows the script people want. Favorites get eliminated. Underdogs rise. Dreams collapse in a single moment. One mistake. One missed chance. One unlucky night. That is the brutal beauty of the World Cup. Nobody is guaranteed anything. Not even legends. Especially not legends. And that is why FIFA 2026 could become either the greatest ending in Ronaldo's career, or the most heartbreaking. Imagine the scenes if Portugal wins. Imagine Ronaldo lifting the World Cup trophy after everything he has been through. After decades of expectations. After years of criticism. After an entire career spent chasing that moment. It would instantly become one of the most iconic images in sports history. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine Portugal falling short once again. Imagine Ronaldo walking off a World Cup pitch for the final time. Knowing there will never be another opportunity. Knowing the dream is over. That image would be equally unforgettable. Because sometimes football gives us glory. And sometimes it gives us heartbreak. Right now, nobody knows which ending awaits Cristiano Ronaldo. Maybe he shocks the world one last time. Maybe he delivers one final miracle. Or maybe FIFA 2026 becomes a reminder that even the greatest players cannot escape time forever. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. The football world will be watching. Every touch. Every goal. Every mistake. Every moment. Because this is more than just another World Cup. This is the final chapter of Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup story. And when the final whistle eventually blows, football fans everywhere may witness the end of one of the greatest journeys the sport has ever seen. The brutal truth is not that Ronaldo cannot win the World Cup. The brutal truth is that this may be his last chance. And chances like this never come twice.